Hello, I'm Catherine Sines, the president of the Rotary Club of Hudson. Rotary is a professional organization of a group of men and women who support Rotary International. We also join together by a common interest of service to our Hudson community, and we have a sincere desire to give back. We meet weekly on Wednesdays at Laurel Lake Retirement Community, 200 Laurel Lake Drive, in their dining room. We meet from 7:30 to 8:30 and would like to invite you to join us. For more information about Rotary, go to www.rotaryhudson.org. Enjoy the following excerpts from one of our recent meetings and consider joining us on Wednesday morning.
Good morning, Rotarians. Good morning, Ron. Especially good morning to all the guests, scholarship winners. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. I'm Ron Strobel, the Sergeant at Arms. The invocation this morning is by Rich Warfield.
Thank you, Ron. One of the things I'm very grateful, staying up late last night, is to watch the Warriors lose game 2 out of 4. So it's 2-2. Go Cavs. And that's not part of my prayer request, because that's not really what we ask God for, but it's a little side thing. He's listening. Let us bow our heads. Lord God, thank you for this food, and thank you for this time together with all these men and women. And Lord, we pray for the students at Hudson High School that are about ready to graduate and go off on their next stage of their careers. And we pray that they make good decisions this summer, stay out of trouble, look forward to college, and also those kids that are in 11th grade and below, that they enjoy their summer. The school teachers, the staff, the treasurer, pray that they have a good summer. And all the men and women in this room, that they leave here safely. And remember, Lord, that you are the front and center of all their decisions. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rich. And to lead us in the pledge and the four-way test this morning, it's going to be a real test because we don't have the four-way test flag hanging up here. Dave Schweighofer.
Morning, Rotarians.
Good morning, Dave.
Join me in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now, for those of you who have an issue with memory, and we don't have this here, and especially for the Hudson students, congratulations. If you can't find it, it's on your cell phone. Please join me in the four-way test. Is it the truth? First. I'm sorry. First.
Is it the truth?
Second.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third.
Will build goodwill and better friendships. Fourth, will be beneficial to all concerned. I had one more warning I could have put it up.
Thank you, Dave.
We're going to sing
Song this morning, Bill Tobin.
All right. Morning, everybody.
Do you want to do God Bless America?
Kate Smith. All right. We're going to sing God Bless America. Jim, can you bring it up?
Yeah, I will do it.
With gusto. Let's do it.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
All right.
The older.
Good morning, Rotarians. I say it all the time, but what a better way to start a morning with a prayer, a pledge, and a song. It's just awesome, and good friendships. Chris had to leave, so I'm introducing the guest. We won't introduce all the parents and scholarships until during that presentation, but we have one other guest, Dr. Lynn Remley, and she's a guest of Marilyn Orr.
Good morning.
Welcome. And this morning we have a couple announcements. First, the gala, Ron and Gail, or just Ron, are going to give an update on the gala. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, it was a very successful event. The gross or intake as of right now is 67,250. Doug McDowell has, I think, another $500 or close to it in checks, and we, on your tables, is a list of the orphan items, the items that didn't get bid on. If anybody's interested in any of those, see me after the meeting, and they're in my car, and we're taking any and all bids. So feel free to bid ridiculously low or ridiculously high. It'll be helpful for the cause.
I think Rich needs that Mulligan management, Rich Warfield. He's not even paying
He's
attention.
not paying attention. Anyway, we had a great night. Again, the weather was wonderful. The food was absolutely terrific. And
For our guests, tell them what it's for.
oh, our primary beneficiaries this year of the gala were Gift of Life Northeast Ohio, where Akron Children's Hospital brings in a child from, or children from third world countries. In the last few years, it's been Haiti, and two doctors down there perform the life-saving surgery, and we pay for the transportation of the parent and the living expenses. And that's kind of morphing into where they're training a team at the hospital down in Haiti, so that probably in the next year or two, they'll be in a position where they can do 50 to 60 operations a year in country, which will help a lot more children than we can do by just bringing them over. Secondly, for those seniors here, it's uncharted waters. We backed that last year and this year, and we intend that to be one of our beneficiaries. And then the third thing,
Are you okay?
are you okay? For the other seniors, like us, people who are maybe living alone, don't have family close by, and it's been started by EMS Outreach, where somebody will call, if you want to be, will call you on a daily or weekly or whatever basis and ask you, are you okay? Is there anything we can do? So it's another great program.
And scholarship.
And getting to that.
Is she married now?
And while you're all here, that's another big dollar amount that comes out of the gala and our fall fundraiser. So those are why we put all the energy and effort into putting on this event. And also, it's a lot of fun to be there and take part. So thank you, Catherine.
Thank you. Is that a record?
No, last year was a record, 75,000.
Okay. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of people there, though. That's why I thought it was a record. We had a lot of people. Next, we have an induction. Rich Warfield.
I'm surprised you didn't call it Sue.
Membership induction. Are you the only one here, or some of your
That was cute.
members here also?
I am the only one who remembers it.
Okay.
I think,
It's not over yet. No. For 2 hours with Dee Dee Mulligan.
you do that.
I know, but All right. Marilyn, would you like to come forward? We've been doing this pretty regular lately, which is great, new members coming into the club. So Marilyn Orr, on behalf of the board and the membership of the Hudson Rotary Club, it is a great pleasure to welcome you as our newest member of our club. We look forward to the fellowship that we will share, as well as your participation in many club projects that make our community, country, and world a better place in which to live. Rotary is an organization of business and professional people pledged to uphold the highest ethical and moral standards. Rotarians believe that worldwide fellowship and peace can be achieved through business people unite under the Rotary motto. Through Rotary activities exemplify the charity and sacrifice that one would expect from people who believe that they have a responsibility to help others. Marilyn, you have been chosen for membership of our club because your fellow members believe you to be a leader in our community and because you possess the qualities to champion the message and principles of Rotary. Our community will know and judge Rotary by your character and service. We ask that you wear your Rotary pin with pride, not only to all Rotarian functions, but in many endeavors as a symbol of your commitment to Rotary. Fellow Rotarians, please rise and welcome our newest Rotarian, Marilyn Norton. Things about herself. Okay. Just take a few minutes and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm told I have about 4 to 5 minutes, so we're going to talk fast. Okay. I spent the majority of my working career in healthcare, first as a medical technologist, but then the majority of it actually running physician private practices. I've worked in everything from a hospital-based practice to an academic practice to a very large orthopedic practice in Cincinnati. And this is actually my 4th Rotary Club. So what attracted me to Rotary? It was business colleagues. And also because I'm not from Ohio, I'm originally from Nebraska. I'm a transplant because my husband was a 20-year Air Force, had a 23-year Air Force career. I needed to know about my communities. And I was also drawn to the fact that you do things worldwide. You exchange foreign students, you have peace scholars, you have young business people coming to learn about what makes America work. And so the first club that I came into was in 1989 in the Xenia Club, and I was the second woman invited to join that club. I was pretty busy with the business then and learning the business because there really isn't a school that teaches you how to do that stuff. The second club that I joined was the Dover Club, and there I was actually quite busy. I worked 3 years as the chair of the international program, and we had students during that time period from Slovenia, Mexico, and Japan. And they were 3 very interesting and fascinating young people. The little girl from Japan, her family ran a mini-mart. And she was expected to work in the mini-mart, and I think she was in the United States to not work in the mini-mart. The girl from Slovenia, her mother was the chair of the Department of Agriculture at the local university, and she had a cousin who was in an OBGYN fellowship in Alabama, and she was an academic star and a ballroom dancer. So, you know, it was really very, very interesting. Also, while we were in Dover, Dr. Meena Patel was our district governor, and when it was time for the annual Rotary get-together at Atwood Lake, I was responsible for registration and finance. So we put the old Excel spreadsheet to work and made all those name tags and got everything organized for a very successful weekend. Let me see. And then the last club that I belonged to before this was the Cincinnati City Club. Cincinnati City is about 500 members, and I think you all have heard of Dr. Harry Heimlich. He's a member of that club. Believe it or not, it was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. There I worked with a road rally. We had a new member project. We took on a renovation project at the Seven Hills Settlement in the near north side in Cincinnati, and made something very nice. We in cooperation with the University of Cincinnati Architecture Department for students who needed a safe place to study. And I also worked in their publicity. I was chair of publicity for a year as we developed our website. And I think my most important contribution there was to make sure that every picture that was posted there had names underneath, so that new members would always know who the movers and shakers were in it. As I mentioned before, I was drawn to Rotary because of just how interesting I felt it was. It was a good way for me to meet and work with the industry colleagues that I had in those towns, and a way to learn something new about our town. And so 3 years ago, I moved to Hudson to be close to my sweet, sweet grandchildren. And of course, I was pretty busy before on a state and national level doing a lot of things. And so I looked for something locally that I could have a passion for, and I found it. at the local Hudson Library. This is a 5-star library, and it's really fascinating. And I helped them institute a new program for selling books online. We brought that program here in February of last year, and we sent out 2 boxes this week of donated books. But I brought some samples because I thought, I see really cool stuff there. Anybody graduate from Ohio State? I have the baccalaureate program from June 11th of 1922. Wow. That was one of the donations that came in last week. Anybody study German in college, in high school or college? I have the first book of German, AHN's first book of German, first edition, 1873. It's a fascinating, beautiful book on the inside. There are currently only 5 copies available through a major retailer, and they're selling for $7 to $42.50. And then I also brought another book that was published in 1949, and this is again another first edition, and it's called The Secret Valley. Beautiful boys book, boys adventure book from 1949, first edition. If your children like Mother Goose Tales, a little folder like this, gorgeous, beautiful pictures on the inside, and a real treasure. And if you're interested in current events, or what were current events, a book like this that has a CD of all of the broadcasts of everything from the Hindenburg to Cronkite's announcement of the assassination of JFK. These are some of the wonderful donations that we get. But the other thing is, we have volunteers. We have tons of volunteers, men and women, old and young, who do a number of things to benefit our library. On the tables, I put out just a little application. We should have a lot more volunteers given the size of our community, the quality of our library, and how interesting our community is and educated our community is. So I'm pitching for people to join me in this venture. Last year, this group contributed $33,000 for programming and new materials to our library. So, and it's old and young. We have a volunteer. How old is Dr. Lynn Remley is with me today, and she's the president of the Friends Group.
I think the youngest volunteer is probably Christian, who does one of the Thursday sales. Oh, I'm sorry. I think off the top of my head, is this working?
Yep, it's working.
Yeah.
I think off the top of my head, our youngest volunteer is just graduated from high school, I think. And she's actually working at the Winking Lizard, but she takes time off on Thursdays to come and help with our sales, and I call that dedication.
Yeah.
I won't tell you how old our oldest volunteer is, because it's me. No, actually, it's Sue. Actually, it's Sue. She's 81. So,
Well, we're under the bus.
Yeah, I think Jim's older than that. Jim's in his 90s.
Okay.
Oh, that's Marge is in his name.
Yeah.
So is, yeah, that's right. I stand corrected, yeah. Anyway, there's room for all, and we'd love to have you come and visit our sales,
Like the average.
and possibly join us, and see what you can contribute to the library with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Like I said, you have to do something in retirement. Thank you.
I look forward to her being an active member of our club. She's really going to be an asset. One more announcement, and he's going to come and talk about Boy Scout camp real quick. And then I just want to remind everybody we're in the parade on Monday. And do you need any help, Ron? Are we pretty good?
Yeah, everything's taken care of.
Unless you want to come and walk with us. No,
Okay.
2 minutes.
All right, not even. This Saturday, we're going to meet down there at the Camp Manitowoc, the following individuals: Clint Dix, Jim Lang, Jay Yard, Jay, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then Sue, where are you? Sue Carter, you coming? Joe Avella. Joe Avella's bringing Lucas, right, Joe?
Yes.
And then we have Joe Rusnick. He's coming out of the history books and coming back to help. So we have about 7 of us. If I forgot anybody,
Do you need more help?
no, I think we're good. I think we're very good. I do want to look forward to Joe Avella cleaning the lockers when a little green frog jumps out and he yells. I want to see that again. But in Maryland, are you related to Bobby Orr, great hockey player for the Boston Bruins?
Don't we wish?
Yeah. So they will. Yeah, all right, I'm done. All right, thank you.
Get no respect.
I thought he was coming up here to ask for volunteers, not to do that.
No, just to.
So this morning, our program, usually I introduce the program person. This morning, I'm introducing Dan Williams to talk about our program, which is our scholarship winners.
Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning,
Good
Dan.
morning, Dan.
Just had to push them out so we have time for the kids. That's more important. They'd rather listen to them than Rotarians. Well, as you know, this is my favorite meeting of the year. Catherine and I really enjoy co-chairing the scholarship committee. And this morning, you get to see what we've seen during the selection process. And each year, the gala, as Ron mentioned, is our primary source of funding. And this year, we're able to give 5 $3,000 scholarships, which is a pretty nice start to their freshman year. So the process, this year we had the largest number of applicants that we've ever had. We had 28. Then we winnowed that down, and I'd like to thank Donna Kastner and Ron Strobel for helping assist us in the selection process. We winnowed that down to the 5 that you see here this morning. And during the interview process, one of the questions we asked the students is, what person most influenced you during your academic career? And then we take that answer and we invite, usually their teacher, we invite those teachers here to introduce the student. So to get the program started, Catherine's going to introduce the teacher, who will introduce the student, and we'll go alphabetically. So Catherine.
Thank you. Sad to say, no one ever says the treasurer of the school district. I don't know why.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
I didn't say anything about city council
So first, I'd like to
No
introduce Val Moga. Val is an innovator in the classroom. She has firsthand knowledge of what students need in regards to computer science and life. Her practical yet challenging learning experience in classroom distinguishes her among students.
What's that doing?
That's the student. Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
This is Ben. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I wasn't quite sure how much I was
Just
talking about
Okay,
today.
yeah, go ahead.
And
I'll pull you off. I'm good at that. I would like to introduce Ben. Please stand, Ben. This is Ben.
Oh, he'll come up.
Go on up here.
Thank you. Okay.
Come on up here.
I have been in class and several years. Last year I had been in class for AP Computer Science A. Just to let you know, that's a pretty tough class. Ben has done an outstanding job in that class. He's very interested in computer science. He's very he brings himself up to the challenge so that there is nothing that he is not going to finish and complete. It will get turned in. He's very diligent, and I look forward to seeing him be very successful. He will be attending Kent State University next year, majoring in computer animation. Oh, nice to meet you. Okay. It's on TV.
Broadcast to millions.
Hello to the billions of people watching. I'm not sure exactly what I'm supposed to say. I think I'll say thank you very much and call the members of the Rotary Club. Who have chosen me for the scholarship, and yeah.
Great.
Okay.
I'm not.
You're absolutely perfect.
Thank you.
Our next teacher is a regular here, each year almost, Gina Vonville. Gina fosters lifelong relationships with her students by creating a warm and fun classroom environment. Her students flock to her because they value her opinion. Since she knows her students so well, she is often the first teacher who receives requests for college application recommendations. We saw a lot of those.
Good morning. It is an honor to be here today to introduce Corinne Campman. I first met Corinne about 2 years ago, and the first day of class she said, "Hi, I love to read," and I asked her, "What's the last book you read?" And she said, "You mean in the last day, or the last week, or the last month?" Corinne reads books, like she'll knock one out, maybe one every couple of days. And I think she had the record in our class for the most read. My favorite anecdote about her is when she came in and confessed to all of us that she opened up all of the books she got for Christmas without her parents knowing, read them, and then rewrapped them.
They just found that.
But beyond that, Corinne is an amazing person. She's a swimmer. She's a sitter of animals and people. She's a beekeeper and works at a flower farm and harvests delicious honey. She's a role model. She was a class leader, and next year she'll be a Buckeye. So I'm so excited.
That's great.
I'll miss having her at school because she would pop in once every couple of weeks and just sit and chat while I was doing work and eating lunch in my classroom. But I know that she's going to be a success, and I wish her the best of luck, and I'm honored to be here to introduce her. Thank you.
Hi everybody. I'd just like to take a moment to thank all the Rotarians for having me here today and in the past, and also for this amazing scholarship. Just something about me, as Mrs. Bonville said, I do work at a flower farm, and this summer I will be a head coach of a swim team, so just involving multiple passions of mine. And also I will be attending The Ohio State University in the fall, and I'll be studying business, but undecided within which concentration and on a pre-law track.
Okay, great.
Now you can see why it was so hard for us to pick the students. They're all awesome. Next is Deb Mancuso. Excuse me. Debbie makes science fun. She works really hard so students understand the complexity and application of science. She gets very excited in the classroom, and her laugh is infectious. Students love her. Is she here? Yeah, would you come on up? And your student? You have to come up with her. Thanks, Jean.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm used to talking to people a little younger than this crowd, and not with a microphone. So please bear with me. When I got an email a couple weeks ago, well, maybe a little over a month ago, from Captain Science, at first I just thought it was one of the many emails that we get as well, yeah, from the treasurer, or as a as an employee at the Hudson City Schools, and I love seeing where my former students have ended up, or some of the successes that they've been involved in. So I scanned down and I saw Corinne's name, and I saw Maddie's name, and I was like, yay! Then I reread it for comprehension, and I saw what it was, and I was still like, yay! That made me a little nervous that somehow I was involved. But I sat and thought about Maddie for a little bit. I had just run into her a couple of months ago when we had an opportunity to shadow at the high school and get an idea of what a day in the life of a typical freshman looked like as an 8th grade teacher, so that we can better prepare our students as they move on to that next journey in their lives. And so I got to see Maddie, and I knew nothing about this, and I don't think she knew she was awarded at this time. I caught it briefly. And now I get to see her again today with her family. And so I'm like, okay, good. She's fresh in my mind because they leave me and they go away and they go become their own unique individuals that I'm not always privy to what's going on after they left. And when I thought about Maddie, two main characteristics came to mind. And I'm just going to steal from other people's words because there's people who make a living using their words better than I do. The first quote I'm going to use is from Stephen King, one of my favorite authors. And he said, "Talent is cheaper than table salt. What separates the talented individual from the successful one is a lot of hard work." And I think that really clearly encompasses Maddie's approach to her schooling and her endeavors. She has some definite innate talents, but she doesn't just slide by on those. She backs that up with the hard work. And then I thought about her in the classroom, and I remember her being playfully creative, innately curious, and always accepting of others, which are also some impressive traits. And then lastly, this came to mind, the trait that I think is most important out of these. And I'm going to close with another author's quote, C.S. Lewis. And he said, "True humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less." And Maddie isn't one to put herself before anyone else, and not at the expense of leaving herself behind, but lifts herself up in doing so. So I'm pleased to present Maddie.
Hi, I'm Maddie, and I want to thank everyone for your support and for the scholarship. I'm going to be attending the University of Akron on a pre-med path with a biomedical science degree. I've actually gotten to the early acceptance program at the Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine, so I will not be taking the MCAT if everything goes well, and I'll just be going straight to medical school, which will be really, really awesome.
That's great.
The next two teachers that I get to introduce, I really feel like I don't even have to do an introduction. We all know them very well. But Lonnie Banner. Lonnie leads by example. She is a role model not only for her students, but for her colleagues. Lonnie inspires others to want to do more and to do so by getting out of one's comfort zone. I think we hear that once a month from every one of these students. Lonnie is an advocate for all people, especially her students and the marginalized. She lives her legacy to learning every day. Lonnie Banner.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's so great to see you. I hope you're ready for a very exciting summer. It is my absolute honor to be introducing Dominic Weaver today. And when I think about Dom, what sets him apart from so many other people is he has this natural passion and drive and this genuineness to make the world a better place. In service learning this year during the first semester, he served at Kent United Disability Services, where he worked with adults with special needs. So from art projects to music to conversation to helping out with workshop, Dom really, really connected with this vulnerable and oftentimes forgotten population. And he even took it a step further. He organized Kent UDS's annual holiday Toys for Tots drive and encouraged adults with special needs to go out into their community, purchase presents, come back and wrap them, and give them to impoverished children in Portage County. During the second semester of service learning, Dom was an office intern at the Alzheimer's Association here in Hudson. And I know that organization is really near and dear to Dom's heart as he has a family member who is struggling with this condition. So from spreadsheets to thank you cards to general nonprofit work to running a Chipotle fundraiser where he earned over $400 for the longest day, which honors those individuals with Alzheimer's and their families, Dom was able to truly see the ins and outs of what it takes to run a nonprofit. Today, Dom is going to be earning a gold award, the highest service award and the Presidential Service Award, and I'm being redundant, I apologize, when he comes to his luncheon today. This past year, he did 296 hours of service in 1 year, and did that while having 2 jobs and being a regular volunteer at his church. Wow. I know, it's pretty awesome. Dominic's gonna be going to Kent State in the fall in the honors program, and one day will hopefully be starting his own nonprofit for foster children and also living on his own organic, sustainable farm. So Dom, honey, I'm so proud of you, and thank you for being a part of the Service Learning family. Well done.
Dominic, and I wanted to say thank you again for all the hard work and fundraising. It takes a lot of time to do your events, and it raises a lot of money that goes towards a lot of great things, and just thank you again for that. I'm going to Kent State this fall, and I'm not exactly sure what field or major yet. Have a few in mind, photography or business or law eventually, so we'll figure that out. But I just thank you again, and I'm glad I'm here.
I'm not sure if Dominic knows this, but after we did our scholarship interviews, Ron Strobel and Donna and I were just really impressed with all of the things that he does and everything. So I don't even know if you remember, the very next month we did our Fine Day, and we donated money to the Alzheimer's Association in honor of you. So I don't think you knew that. He touched every one of our hearts with his story, and then we wanted to make sure that we as a group also did something for Alzheimer's, because he was doing so much for a young kid to be able to do that. And this next teacher is also a regular here, Marty Bach. Marty is a passionate educator. He shows his students his love of social studies every day while building positive and impactful relationships with each student. His calm and reflective manner resonates with the students. Marty.
Good morning, everybody, and happy Hudson High School graduation Wednesday. Yeah. I am very, very curious to see what Route 8 is going to be like this evening. Coming back when it's shut down. Did you see that the other day, that they're going to close some lanes? That'll be fun getting back to E.J. Thomas tonight. So, be good. So, I have, of course, I'm here to introduce another scholarship winner, and that is Mallory Weber. I first got to know Mallory last year when she took my AP US History class. One of the things that I've learned over the years as a teacher is when you start teaching, what you really start to notice is the students, they talk a lot, we're very, gregarious in class, always raising their hand, participating. And not so much the students who, sit a little bit in the background. And what I've come to learn, especially with Mallory and others, all right, like her, is that we really need to value listening as well. Mallory is a tremendous listener. And in an age where not many people listen to each other, or they're always just thinking, what am I going to say next when I have a chance, our great listeners are there. And I first became aware of this last year, AP US History. Mallory always sat to my left. And whenever I would drop one of my dad jokes, as they call it, Mallory would always give similar looks like that. So I knew she was listening and processing that very well. And I know that you used many of them on weekends for your friends. We're good. But Mallory is extremely compassionate. She is very supportive to her friends. She is an integral part of our soccer team that over her career went through a number of coaching changes. So in terms of the leaders on that team, that almost became the rock. And Mallory was very integral to that. As part of the service learning class, Mallory really showed her compassion and her work ethic and her intelligence in working with young people. Her first semester, she volunteered at Ledgeview Elementary in the Nordonia School District. And there, she set up a project to help students with their reading goals. So basically, figuring out where each student was, where to challenge them effectively, and get them to where they need to be by the end of the semester. The second semester, she again worked with children, but in a very different context out in Ravenna at an after-school program for low-income children. They're almost exclusively were African-American students. And Ravenna instituted a no homework policy, which on its face, a lot of students would think that's great. For students at the lower end, it was awful, because that meant that they had none of the reinforcement that they so desperately needed when they went to these after-school programs. They had nothing to work on, nothing to pull out of their backpacks, nothing to stretch them. And so Mallory provided that for them. Her supervisor reported to us, our center couldn't have had a better project submitted on our behalf. We received some very much needed educational materials that we can use in our after-school tutoring program and continue them in our summer enrichment program. Many of the sheets our kids have never done, and it was very challenging for them. So Mallory is a perfect blend of someone who listens, someone who feels, someone who cares, and someone who uses their intelligence to meet people where they are. So I'm very proud of you, Mallory. It's been a great 2 years, and many more ahead of you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm going to the University of Cincinnati and studying early childhood education, and I'm going to get my deaf studies certificate to be able to teach to people with the hearing disability.
Oh, okay. Great.
I know that went pretty fast. They go through the program. So does anyone have any questions for our students? If you do, we can pass around the microphone and get answers for you if you have any. No, you guys did a great job and nobody even has any questions. Great. So since we are a little bit early, I'm going to go ahead and finish the meeting, but if you, oh, yes, Ron.
The parents never got recognized as guests today.
Right, so do you want me to have them stand up and introduce, do that? Ron. Want to hand them? Or do you want me to make them?
Ron, go ahead.
And tell who your,
Yep.
yeah, and tell who your student is. Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and so everyone knows who you are.
Hi, I'm Nicole Arrigo. This is my husband Mark, and we are the proud parents of Ben. He is our oldest of 3 children, and we're so delighted to be here with him, and we want to thank you for the opportunities that you help him with as he goes to Kent State, and just thank you very much, and we wish you the best.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Weaver. I am Dominic Weaver's mom. And first of all, I just want to thank everyone for, first of all, this wonderful morning and just the opportunities that you're providing my son and these other children financially to help them go to college. Dominic is our second oldest of 6, so that is a huge help in our family. And we're just real proud of him. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Scott Weber Laree, and we are the proud parents of Mallory Weber. I truly appreciate what this organization does for the community and certainly the seniors this year. Thank you so much for the opportunity. We're very proud of Mallory and her endeavors. She's our second child of 4. We will miss her as a rock in our family and in our house because she takes care of a little brother that is a second grader now. He will greatly miss her. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Steve Corain. This is my wife, Marcia Corain. Also here today is our son, Joseph Corain. Both Joseph and Maddie will be graduating this evening. So once again, I want to reiterate Mr. Weber's comments. Thank you very much for your kindness, your hospitality, and for the scholarship. Again, thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Dean Campman. This is my wife Betty. And again, thank you so much for the scholarship and this beautiful morning together. We wanted to just, Corinne is our middle child, and we have another one in high school who's going to miss her as well. And we just want to say thank you so much for the scholarship and all you do for the community.
I just want to ask everybody one more time to take a minute and meet our scholarship winners, get to know them just a little bit. They're awesome. I mean, every one of them touched our hearts when we interviewed them. It was a hard decision, but a great decision. Thank you all. And then we ask if, when you guys come home on break at Christmas, if you'd come back and have breakfast with us again. We'd like to see how you're doing, what you're up to, and that. James, would you, oh, go ahead.
Could I have a group picture
Yes.
afterwards?
When we're all done, he'd like to have a group picture of all the scholarship winners. Did you know that our students are awesome? These are last year's statistics because this year's statistics won't be released till tonight. At graduation, Mr. Wilsh tells all the statistics for this year. So I'm always a year behind on the statistics. But when you start looking at what our students accomplish, what they do, I'm in awe of them. Every one of you make me feel like a slacker, and I feel very kind that I've accomplished that, but all of you make me feel like a slacker. We have Mr. Herman, our superintendent, told me the other night that he was in the awards banquet, just seeing all the kids going across the stage, he was just touched by all the accomplishments, the GPAs, everything the students have done, even all the scholarships they have won. It's pretty amazing. So in Hudson, we need to be proud of our students and proud of a community that supports those students. So I want to thank all of you Rotarians, also all of the Rotarians for all your support. James, one more time. And then an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. So we need to keep investing in our students.
Absolutely.
So, again, I want to thank all the Rotarians for all your hard work for doing this for us. And Dan, thanks for co-chairing this committee with me.
Can I mention one thing? Can I
Mhm.
mention one thing, please?
Yeah.
Phil, do you need a microphone?
Wait just a minute, Phil.
We're gonna mic you up.
James. You know, when you get to be 84 or 85, and I'll be 85 in another week or something.
Then you can say you're 85.
Yeah, there. You get a chance to reflect back on things that you've learned, and I'd like to address this to these young folks that are heading off to college. And Tom will understand this because he went through this. I went through it, but my other 4 brothers and his brother went through it. And it's a rite of passage that happens when you go to college. You may not find it in a textbook, but you're sure going to experience it. And that is, don't be surprised if you're going out of town that you find yourself a little homesick that first semester. Don't be surprised. That's a good thing to go through that. But something's going to happen to you, and people in this room can probably relate to this. When you come back from Thanksgiving, your life is going to change. And all of a sudden you're going to realize, I am on my own. That's not a bad feeling. It's just a wonderful feeling. And your parents will see it and they'll appreciate it. You've just passed a major milestone in your lifetime. So I wish you well. Be very careful of what happens over Thanksgiving. You're going to thoroughly enjoy it. And when you go back to school, you're going to be an entirely different person. And congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to give a special thanks for the greeters, Bob Cramp and Phil Tobin. Phil Tobin plays the music for us. I think he thinks that's greeting everyone. Just shaking hands. I think he'd rather be doing the music. Audio, visual, and setup crew, Dan Rich, Tom Page, Tom Tobin, James Field, and Ron Barnhouse. And a special thank you to, we didn't have a service learning this morning, students. So there. We won't have one all summer. And that's another reason some of these faces look familiar. Several of you of our scholarship winners actually helped out with our AV for a month during the year. Our Rotobuck drawing, the drawing's $10 and the jackpot's $124. I want to draw for you. Make it work. Thank you. The last 4 numbers are 6157. 6157.
Oh, well, hopefully I can make it.
For those that are guests, we pay money at the beginning, and then if they draw the black marble out of here, which there is one, then he gets the jackpot.
Millions of dollars.
124. Oh, he didn't win it. Thank you. And my quote for today, remember to stop and say hello to our students. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Thank you for coming today.